Spooky Shorts.
This old abandoned house stood at the end of a deserted street like a crooked tooth. It was the kind of place where shadows liked to hide. The moonlight did little to illuminate its peeling paint and broken windows. But inside, someone had already made themselves at home. A beat-up car pulled up slowly, and Michael stepped out, dragging a small suitcase. His face was drawn and haggard, his eyes searching the empty street. He walked up to the porch and rang the bell. No response. So he tried the door. Locked. Michael sighed. Of course, it was locked. That's what the sign said. Keep out. But he'd been desperate for a fresh start. And this old house, with its overgrown garden and boarded-up windows, had seemed perfect. Footsteps in the attic, whispers in the walls, the scrape of a chair leg on the floorboards. And every time he turned his flashlight on, the beam revealed nothing but darkness. He turned around and looked out at the moonlit road. The silence was heavy and thick, broken only by the sound of his own breathing. He fumbled for his phone and turned on the flashlight, its beam dancing in the darkness. Michael collapsed to his knees, his whole body trembling. "I don't know how long I was unconscious," he said, his voice hoarse. But the shadows followed, lingering at the threshold. He turned around to go back inside, but a cold hand closed over his shoulder. "Come," whispered a voice right behind his ear. "Come to us!" Michael screamed and stumbled back. He looked around, but the voice was gone, and then he felt the cold hand again, this time gripping his arm. "Come, come!" Michael screamed and fell to his knees. The last thing he saw was the shadows stretching out to him, beckoning him closer. Then everything went black. The whispers stopped, but the shadows didn't. He looked at the corners of the room. Dark shapes lingered there, watching. A single tear rolled down his cheek. "Please," he whispered, looking around him. "Please, I don't want to die." But the whispers only grew louder, urging him, begging him to join them. The shadows stirred. "Who's there?" he whispered, his voice tight with fear. But when the light hit him, the shadows cowered and the room was dark, except for the faint glow of moonlight. He scrambled to his feet and ran for the door. But when he reached it, he found that it had slammed shut, and when he tried to open it again, it swung shut violently. "Let me out!" he cried, his voice echoing in the darkness. "Somebody help me!" He pounded on the door. But his screams were swallowed up by the house, and no one came. He was jumpy, his gaze darting to the corners of the room, half expecting to see a dark shape emerge from the shadows. The whispers were back, louder now. "Come," they hissed. "Come to us." Michael dropped the knife he was holding. He shook his head, trying to clear away the images that danced in his mind's eye. "It's just the wind," he murmured. "Just the wind." But the whispers grew louder and more insistent. "Come, Michael, we want to play with you." He backed away slowly, keeping his eyes fixed on the shadowy corner. Outside, the wind howled like a wounded animal, and the rain lashed against the window. He could hear the water seeping in around him. Faint whispering started, barely audible above the storm. Michael sat up, his heart racing. "Michael," they whispered. "Michael, come to us," he called out, his voice trembling. "Who's there?" he whispered. Silence. Then the wind picked up again, drowning out his fear. No street lamps illuminated the twisted branches that clawed at the sky like skeletal fingers. The only sound was the mournful hoot of an owl somewhere in the darkness. Then he heard it again, a soft scratching sound from inside the house. Michael frowned, took a deep breath and walked back to the front door. Maybe it was just a stray cat or a bird. He fished out his keys and unlocked the door. Inside, dust particles floated in the air, motes of sunlight dancing in the gloom. The wooden floor creaked under his feet. Michael switched on his flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness. He set his suitcase down and explored the room. Cobwebs brushed against his face, and a shiver ran down his spine. In the corner, something rustled. Michael froze, his heart pounding in his chest. The beam of his flashlight flickered, revealing nothing but shadows. The wind rattled a window pane and he jumped, startled. He spun around and bumped into a chair, sending it crashing to the floor. Michael spent the night in his car. In the morning, after, of course, making sure no one had found him sleeping there, he went to the local diner. He ordered a coffee and a slice of pie and tried to make sense of what he'd heard the night before. Had it really been just the wind? But as the day wore on and he sat in the silent house, listening to the wind whistling through the cracks in the walls, he began to hear other sounds, too. That night he lay in bed, his eyes wide open. The next night, Michael was preparing dinner. Suddenly, the whispering stopped. Then one of them moved forward, stretching toward him like a hand. Michael screamed and stumbled back, knocking over a chair. The whispers surrounded him now, cold breaths on his neck. "Join us, Michael. Join us forever." Michael woke up on the floor, sunlight filtering through the window. The house was quiet. He sat up and looked around. Michael walked outside, relief flooding him as he stepped into the sunlight. Fade out. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next spooky short, because the next one might be watching you.